this kind of leads us on to our next point, because you mentioned the fact how seeing violence is normal now. And according to the report, 60% of children have seen real-world acts of violence. So what type of things are we seeing? What type of violence is actually being normalized?
I'd say maybe like beatings, stabbings, acts of gun crime. Usually with like more young adults rather than young, so like 13, 14, you wouldn't really see that type of crime, but maybe older, like 16, 17 plus. But no, yeah, I'd say the type of crime that's getting seen usually would be knife crime or jumping and stuff like that, because you see a lot of videos on social media involving children that are involved in violence. It's usually children chasing each other with knives or children jumping another child. From what obviously I've seen.
Yeah, and also, where have you guys seen violence online, if you have seen it, and what form have you seen it in?
Gang culture.
Gang culture.
I feel like it might be like a more of a surprising one, but like when I see violence online, I've seen it like on Facebook, and I know like no one, like in this generation we don't really use Facebook as much anymore, but there's a lot of like families or like just like older people in the community, like parents sharing fights and stuff, being like, oh, I can't believe this is happening, but then they're the ones who's sharing it and like putting it out there, and that's the main place I see it, if I'm honest, is like a lot of like fights and jumping people.
Is all the demographic that would see these videos and then share it, and sometimes you get all sort of reactions, because now you can see like people laughing, people, you know, surprised about it, and the comments are actually wild sometimes, even amongst older people. But I think Facebook, it is one of the platforms where it's easy to share these things. But then I would say the next big one would be TikTok. It just takes you watch 2-3 seconds of a video that might have some sort of violence for your whole For You page in the next couple of days to actually be just violence and violence and violence.
And the crazy thing about TikTok is that you can't hide from it. You can't choose what you see because it comes up on your For You page most of the time. It could be random, it could not be random, but you could be home, had a bad day, and then you go on your phone and the first thing you see is someone getting chased with a knife. So it's like, how difficult is it to escape violence, even in your own safe place, like at home, in your bedroom? You can't get away with it. So I just think that's an interesting thing.
I think this goes into bullying as well. With the technology of social media, we see people, you know, they can't, even when they get home, they can still be bullied from the home. And also I think these videos are also inciting violence to reoccur, to kind of make a domino effect of tit-for-tat stabbings and tit-for-tat shootings and tit-for-tat
drill videos.
Yeah, but then, well, sometimes drill, but more if someone sees themselves getting beat up and jumped and they're a part of a gang and they're going to be like, well, I'm not happy now, I'm going to make sure I'm with my 3 friends this time, and we're going to go and always try and find them where we know they locate. Exactly. And I think also, if I don't know about you, but if someone posted me and was laughing at me, I wouldn't be happy.
And that's what I've done that point. We'll move on to the next question. So does social media make you scared?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it depends how you engage with it. You know, it's almost like life, you know, whoever you want to hang around, you're going to be who you hang around to some degree. So I feel like if you're in certain forums, certain Reddit chats, etc., who you're speaking to, who you've got on social media, who would be your mutual friends, who is looking at your content, you can kind of choose to some degree depending on how much you want to safeguard yourself with settings. But no, yeah, it is super dangerous. You can ruin your life in 10 seconds, boom. Just off one tweet that people don't like, you know what I mean? It is ruthless.
I think there is a level of safeguarding that we need to do though, because like there's one thing to say that to like a 16, 17-year-old, like you need to safeguard, like you need to know who you're speaking to, but does an 11-year-old have the same critical thinking skills? Does that make sense? Like especially if you've not got the safeguards in place, nobody's there to support them, nobody's saying to them, look, this is what this is. Like it's easier said than done sometimes.
Well, yeah, the sad thing is with children that age, they obviously, you know, they think, you know, they hit puberty, they may be thinking, I'm the big I am, I'm safe, I'm big grown, this and that, and deep down, you know, none of us was, but we all thought we were Kim Jong-un, G.I. Joe, you know what I mean? But no, I'd say it's just best to just inform parents as much as humanly possible, to let them understand, listen, these things do happen, this does happen, this is something that is common, you need to make sure that your kids are safe, at least if they are going to use social media.
So now moving on, can you guys maybe talk a bit more about how you come across this type of violence? Is it shared with you? Is it something that comes across your, for your page when it comes to TikTok? How does it really work?
For me, like, I don't even have social media anymore because of the reasons you mentioned before. And it's still always shared for me all the time, either through iMessage or through WhatsApp, because it's important to know, I think, what's going on in your community. And a lot of the times, the reasons why it's shared to you is because it's people who you're close to who's been affected. You might recognize someone through social media. And yeah, so violent content is always like shared. And I think it's important to share it as well, because when it's violent content against people who look like you or people with similar age to you, you have to be aware of what's going on and how to protect yourself. So I think in that context, it's shared to me quite a lot.
I feel like when I said about like Facebook before, a lot of that, when I'm seeing it, is people posting it, and then they're posting it because they want to find the people in the videos or pictures, whether it's even like adults sharing videos of young people or children. They're still like, oh, let's find these children, like help me find their parents. Like they don't care what age the people are in the videos. Like I feel like that's why people share it a lot of the time if it's on Facebook primarily, because they want to find the people in those videos, and what happens after that, I don't know, probably more violence, but yeah.
Just briefly, are there any positive impacts of social media on youth violence in today's society?
I would say no. I feel like it makes people aware that violence is happening, but then at the same time, I feel like a lot of people know how dangerous violence can be. We've heard, like people have died off of being punched once in the face, stuff like that, but it still carries on. I don't think it's really changed anything. I think it's almost made it so normal that, like I said before, it is quite normal to know someone that's been stabbed or is involved in certain activity that involves them doing stuff to people.
But if you know that your face is going to be everywhere all over social media, then wouldn't you be less inclined to do the crime because you'll be more likely to get caught?
Unfortunately, some people are very desperate. I mean, some laws in different countries are a lot harsher, but we still see huge crime in places where how bad it can look for you. Some people are just unfortunately that desperate.
I think a lot of people just don't fear the police anymore either. So it's like, oh well, they catch me. What are they gonna do?
I think sharing violence in general, it depends. Like, I'm not really in favor of like seeing certain things online, especially because I've got younger siblings. I'm not really interested in them seeing certain things or thinking it's normal or find it funny or any sort of way. Like, they're kids at the end of the day. That's how their mind's going to be shaped by the things they see online. But I think if it helps us to maybe trying to find, someone that have done the crime, things like that might be useful to, okay, what area was this? Sort of like helping find out who it was. But I think there's not too many positives when it comes to actually sharing the violence itself.